If there's anyone downstairs, or are they up? They up here? They're in the kitchen? If anybody wanted to speak on anything.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. If you just fill out a blue card, which is in the lobby, and they will direct you up to the second floor, and you'll be in the conference room.
Thank you, Mr. Bowles. Invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Brain.
Father God, we love you. We thank you for the day. We just give you the praise and glory for who you are. And we just ask tonight, Father, that you give us wisdom and discernment on the decisions we make tonight, Father, and just that we please you in everything that we do, Father. Watch over and protect each and every one of us. And we thank you for all your love and what you do. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Brain. Item 3, roll call, Madam Secretary.
Vice President Abshire.
Here.
Mr. Endicott.
Here.
Mr. Barrett.
Here.
Mr. Barkey.
Here.
Mr. Brain. Here. Mr. Burley.
Here.
Mr. Hayes.
Here.
Mr. Langsford.
Here.
Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Martindale.
Here.
Mr. Richard.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Stelling.
Here.
Mr. Tremonti.
Here.
President Ford.
Here. Thank you. Item 4, presentation of a retirement certificate to Mr. William Bill Summers for 33+ years of dedicated service to the citizens of Calcasieu Parish. Mr. Boland.
Thank you, President Geary. I'd ask Mr. Summers to come up to the podium for the roast, please. Evening, sir.
Evening, sir.
I hope I do not take too long tonight, but I want to say a few words about Bill. I told myself I wasn't going to do a John Boehner in tears. I think I told Guy that, but I'm going to be all right. He's not only someone I've worked with almost 30 years, but he's been a friend. I will do my best again to keep it short and get through this. I don't know if you know this about Bill, but he's born in Virginia. He is a Redskins fan. And after high school, he received a baseball scholarship to Southern Miss. He realized early on that he was much better than the guys at Southern Miss, so he transferred to McNeese and played baseball there. He graduated from McNeese in '84 with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. He was a Lake Charles police officer from 1984 to 1987, and then he saw the light, and he moved to juvenile detention in those days. That's what it was called, the Juvenile Detention Center. And he served in numerous roles for many years, as you know, 33. But in 2014, he was named the director of OJJS. He has and continues to serve on many boards to include the local Children and Youth Planning Board, Board of Directors of the Louisiana Drug and Specialty Courts, Board of Directors for the American Probation Parole Association, Board of Directors for MCAL Human Services, Board of Directors for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southwest Louisiana. Another thing you might not know about Bill, he is a certified juvenile court administrator through the National Juvenile and Family Court Judges Association. He's also a deacon in his church, and I know his faith means a lot to him. Last but not least, in 2015, Bill received the Don E. Widrow Award for Excellence in Juvenile Justice from the Governor's Advisory Board. You just don't get that award. There's some criteria that comes with that award, and one of them is you have to be a good youth role model. One of the other main criteria is you have to contribute many years in furthering juvenile justice and delinquency prevention. Bill meets and has always met those very easily. So what happens when you have a great career, Bill? I'll tell everybody, what happens is you're picked to be the next Deputy Secretary of the State Office of Juvenile Justice. #1 position in juvenile justice in the state of Louisiana. At the announcement, Bill was quoted, "It's just not a job, it's a calling. Children involved in the juvenile justice system should be afforded every opportunity to be healthy, happy, and successful." I tell you, that's coming from the heart, from Bill. We should all be very proud of this, and it says a lot about for Bill. He's also a direct reflection of the jury, allowing this department to be the very best they can be, and we appreciate that. Bill, you can imagine what kind of stories I could tell in our years together.
Too great, too great.
Yeah, he always gives me a hard time because I'm gray and he's not, but we all know why he's not. And maybe after 33 years, Belinda, you can tell me what he actually uses for that hair. Well, I can't tell too many stories because it's being live streamed. It's on the media here, so I can't tell all the stories. But I think I found one. So, Bill, I don't know if you remember that time. See, I can't even find one. We can't tell any of them. I thought I had one. So I know at that point he was worried which story I was going to tell. But we'll save those for a later date, Bill. Many of you know, but a lot of you don't know the history of juvenile justice in the parish or the state of Louisiana. Back in the 80s and 90s, it looked a lot different than it is today. One of the big reasons it looks different because of Bill. I could go on and on how he's made a difference, but what stands out is his leadership to the younger employees. He has mentored many employees over the years, including me, and the effects of this will remain in juvenile justice for many years to come. I can tell you right now, Bill leaving is bittersweet. I told many of you earlier, about 15 years ago, we started planning the new juvenile justice facility out on East Preon Lake Road. It's going to be state-of-the-art. And look, Bill's been out there every single day. I didn't know he was an architect or a contractor, but I think he's learned that trade too. So he's on those guys every day. And it's a facility that we'll all be proud of, and I know you will too. For over 30 years, his passion for our families has not wavered. And I know that this passion will continue as he begins a new phase of his journey. And I do know that all the families of the state will benefit from this passion. I can speak for all of us here. You will be missed, and we wish you the best. Your time.
Can I just say thanks and walk away? I'm not real good at recognition, but Mr. President, members of the jury, I really want to thank you for your support. This governing body has supported the mission of OJJS since we became a true parish department back in '99. You supported us coming into the parish. It brought structure, organization, facility assistance, IT, human resource knowledge. You supported our property tax, which incidentally comes up in 2023. It's kind of a shameless plug, so we're going to need you to get out there and help us support it again. You supported us when we got deep into juvenile justice reform. And you supported us when we asked for a new facility. Knowing this body had our back made it easier to be creative, innovative, and become juvenile justice leaders, not only in this area, but the state and on a national level as well. Our parish administration team, they are top-notch. These guys are top-notch. Brian's steady leadership, creativity is unmatched in local government. He will give you a side eye from time to time when you talk too much, and I've learned that. Dane, you know how I feel. Not only a brother, but mentor. Sam, I want to tell you thank you for unspoken things that you did for us at OJJS and me personally. When you have the parish attorney on a speed dial, it's a good thing. So thank you, Sam. I've had a chance to work with many people and go to many places across our great nation. I've worked with great judges, DAs, public defenders, law enforcement, school officials, counselors, mentors, concerned citizens, all with a heart to help children. The thing here is Southwest Louisiana people, they care. When you get everybody together for one common good, everybody rallies around to help kids and families, and that is a credit to this governing body, our parish administration team, our staff, and of course the citizens of Southwest Louisiana. I'm going to leave you a great staff. I mean, they are top-notch. Our management team is outstanding. They're innovators, they're creative, they're leaders on a national level, and I think you'll be very, very happy with my successor. From our probation officers to our detention officers, they're very good at what they do. I cannot wait to see how juvenile justice grows in this area. You're going to be very, very happy with how they perform. You know, 33 years is a long time. Got to be an oak. But it goes in a hurry. I put my faith in God first and surrounded myself with my family. My wife of 36 years, couldn't have done it without them. My daughter Savannah and her husband Justin and their 2 children, my son Billy and his wife Madison and their 1 son and another on the way February 15th, and the caboose Sarah, who's 22 and she's a 5th-year senior. We hope to get her out of McNeese sooner or later. I think she's majoring in sororities and boys. So I want to thank you guys. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. It's been a great career. I'll miss this governing body, this admin team, especially our staff. Thank you.
Mr. Summers, I think there's a few people that want to talk. Hey, Mr. Summers, I got a few people want to talk. Mr. Brain.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bill, I was listening to what you were saying, and God put certain people in certain places, and I know that He's put you in that position to do the job that you've done. I really appreciate the job you've done. I've become to know you over the years, and just really appreciate you. And you are who you are, and So the state's in good hands, having you do the job that you're going to go do. And so, again, I just appreciate it, appreciate your friendship, and appreciate the job you did.
Thank
Good
you,
luck
Mr.
to
Brown.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hayes.
Bill, I'm going to take you back to the day Tom Hafer and I were talking about getting a little assistance with McNeese baseball broadcast, and he brought your name up, and I didn't know who you were. I'd never met you at that point, and so we prepared for the broadcast that night, and up you come, and I noticed immediately that you had your hair styled by the same guy that did Ronald Reagan. I thought that was pretty neat. Then I come to find out that you spent more time in jail than Bonnie and Clyde combined. I thought that was significant. And went on to develop a friendship with you. We had a great time until COVID came along and wiped out the baseball season, but I appreciated your help then. We will all appreciate your help going forward from Baton Rouge. Best of luck to you. It was a joy meeting you and getting to know you, and I hope everything works out great for you over in the big city, man.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate that. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Barris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Bill, proud as heck to have been able to have a shovel the day that we broke ground for the new place. I hope that you'll make it back around. I know you're probably going to be there. Probably not going to.
I'm not missing that.
All right, good deal. Well, I was going to make sure the invitation was well understood, that we would love to see you back.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for representing your family the way you do, representing us, staff, and the people of Southwest Louisiana can be proud to know that we've got someone that's going on to bigger and better things, and it's because he helped so many here, and that's obviously your reputation is just unbelievable in that realm. So thanks again for all of your work, your energy, and then also for leaving us in such a good spot.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Barty.
Bill,
Yes, sir.
and I've only been here for a short period of time. I got a chance to meet you early on, and I just appreciate the time we've shared, and quite naturally, just like all the other jurors, I appreciate your service. I didn't recognize your wife back there with the mask on, but I just want to thank her for really sharing you with us. And just want to say thank you again for your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Mr. Andrew Punt.
Mr. Summers, Bill, just for the fellow jurors, last year when we were running, I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Sulphur. Well, it was my turn to have the program. So I contacted Bill to see if he would be our guest speaker. He didn't know him from Adam. He's such a gentleman. Just the way he carried himself and he spoke, then he called me and said, "Hey, I hate to do this to you." He said, "But I've got a conflict," but he said, "I will find you a speaker." Well, he sent Tony Celestine, who did an outstanding job. But the way you spoke to me and the kindness struck a chord. And what else struck a chord with me is when as we assembled and we had our orientation, and when you gave us the background, juvenile job, I picked up on something. You mentioned the calling. I picked up on that right away. Your compassion for youth. And I think that's one of the reasons we hear the things of how this program is known nationwide. And people come here to learn and go back to their parts of the country to emulate what has been put in place here. And it speaks volumes for you. It speaks volumes for this staff. And I wish you all the best, and your wife and your family, and you are a true gentleman.
Thank you, Mr. Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Andrew Punt. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. I met Mr. Summers. I called him all the time, but he always say his dad's name, Mr. Summers. So, Bill, I want to thank you for your service. And like I said, I met you doing my campaign up there in Ward 1, Moss Bluff, and you was always, very, very approachable. I always had a smile, and I kind of hated to see you. I really hate to see you leave, because when I seen you was leaving, I was kind of mad. But then I know why you're leaving, because you always said you had a lot of plans, upcoming, with the Mark Center opening up, and you and I would always speak about that, and you laid a lot of groundwork for it. And I say, why? And you want to leave, but now I do understand why you're leaving. Best wishes, and have a great career with the state.
Thank you, Mr. Landry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, Bill, you're a real class act. I've enjoyed, knowing you all these years, and we hadn't had a lot of contact because I have called a few times on behalf of constituents, but you've always done just a fantastic job out there, and we really appreciate all those years of service and definitely wish you the best. And I got all the confidence in the world. I think you're going to change juvenile justice in this state, and I think we'll be number one. We're going to be we'll be number one on a list. So everybody says Louisiana's last. I can assure you, we won't be last on that list. When Bill gets through, we'll be number one. I can assure you.
Thank you, Mr. Landry.
Thank you, Mr. Landry.
Thank you, sir.
Any other? Oh, and I also want to tell him something.
No, go ahead. I want to
Okay,
wait
okay.
on.
Mr. Summers, we got a lot of meetings at your church, everything, and you've been great. Dane, do you think we can get Bill at least a gold key so he can take with him to go of the building? We'll give him a key made of the gold in gold for him.
And a code to the new building.
Yeah, we'll give him that. Thank you, Bill, for everything.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Mr. Bean.
Mr. President. Just want to make this formal. I do have a plaque. Before I do, I wasn't going to tell a story, but I thought of one when Judge said shovel about the new building and all. Bill didn't think I remembered this. Y'all said such nice things about, and this isn't a bad story, but I have always found it funny, and it shows the human side of Bill. We all make mistakes. This is years ago. I don't even remember when. I called out there for Bill. He said he's not in today. I'm like, what happened? He'll be out a couple of days. Well, he got bit by a snake. Oh, what? Man, I didn't know that. Well, he didn't want to tell anybody, didn't want to worry anybody. So I found out there's a real story, and I don't know all the details. He did get bit by a snake, but you don't know how he did it. It was in his garage, I believe, and I know Bill's wife is here. I may get this a little wrong, but it doesn't matter. He had a shovel, but he wasn't, he was ready for this snake. And he goes over to the thing, and like you would try to do, you cut the head off. And he did with the shovel. His mistake was, though, in picking it up to throw it away or away from him, it goes straight up in the air, head separated from the body, I'm not making this up, comes down, teeth, fangs, land in his arm, and poison Bill. After he cut the snake's head off. And you just can't make that stuff up. So, with all that said, I know there's been a lot of accolades, and they are so well deserved for this man. Bill has done an outstanding job for us, and all the things y'all said are true. My only thing I want to add before I actually read and give you the plaque, there are some jobs in this world that you don't do it because it's easy or stress-free or the pay. Teachers are one. We need to be praying for teachers. Juvenile justice folks, especially leaders in the field, is another. If you don't have that passion, you won't last a week in that position. It is tough. You are not dealing with the easy folks. You're dealing with the ones that are the toughest, but those are the ones that need the most love, and they need it and they get it, and Bill has led that for many years, and we couldn't be prouder. And it's no accident he's getting selected for the top job in the state in Office of Juvenile Justice. And that's hats off to him. So, Bill, let me make this official. I'm going to read the plaque, and it's a certificate of appreciation presented by the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury on this, the 20th day of August, 2020, to William A. Bill Summers, Director of Office of Juvenile Justice Services, in recognition and appreciation of 33-plus years of service to the citizens of Calcasieu Parish. Congratulations and best wishes on your retirement.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
It's upside down.
Got it? So good, okay.
What socks are you
Thank you.
rocking today?
Shark Week.
What socks are we wearing?
Shark socks, Shark Week. All right.
Shark Week.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. Item 5, appearance by Mr. Braylon Harris, candidate for United States Congress 3rd Congressional District. Mr. Harris. Mr. Braylon, state your name and address for the record, please.
Absolutely. Good evening, Mr. President, as well as gentlemen of the jury. My name is Braylon Harris. I stay at 1465 Manchester Road, somewhere between here and Highway, Louisiana. I'm definitely glad to be here with each and every one of you all today to announce to each and every one of you all who may not have known, but now you will know that I am running for the 3rd congressional seat, the 3rd district congressional seat right here in the 3rd district, which spans from the Sabine River all the way over past Lafayette, from just under Elton down to Abbeville, Morgan City, and all points in between, even Calcasieu. Just to tell you a little bit about myself very quickly, I graduated from DeQuincy High School. So I'm a tiger at my heart. And so it's a very, very special place for me. Great place to grow up, which means I'm a small town guy with big city dreams. I graduated from DeQuincy High School and went to Xavier University in New Orleans. When I got there, I spent about a year and a half there, and Hurricane Katrina decided I needed to come back home. So I came back home and started at McNeese State University, and Hurricane Rita decided I needed a little more time to think it through. And so we spent a little time up in Arkansas, beautiful, beautiful countryside of Arkansas, and I sat there in Arkansas and I said, what do you want me to do? Praying about it, and I said, I can go back to New Orleans or I can go to Lake Charles. And my dad, I said, Dad, what do you want me to do? He said, it doesn't matter to me. And something said, go home. And so I came back to Lake Charles, right here to Calcasieu Parish, finished at McNeese State University with a business administration management degree. Finished that, and right after that, I went to work for McNeese State University as an admissions counselor and academic recruiter. That allowed me to travel all across the state of Louisiana. There's probably not a state highway I have not traveled. There's not a parish I have not visited. And most schools throughout there, especially high schools, I've at least chatted and talked with and met with individuals in that particular city and in that particular school. Very passionate about education. Did that for about 7 years and then had the opportunity to take over a program called Upward Bound. Upward Bound is a federally funded program that allows for universities to reach out to students that are underprivileged within their communities and make sure in some way, shape, form, or fashion they are smoothing the way as far as them having an opportunity to matriculate at their local universities. And so I ran that program for 3 years, had an opportunity during that course to write a $1.3, $1.5 million grant for McNeese State University and leave that program in great standing. At that point, I was recruited over to become a part of the Impact Agency, which is also known as the Positive Change Initiative of Southwest Louisiana, which each and every one of you all are a part of by your allocations of funds to that program. It has been an extraordinary privilege and honor to lead that program for the last 2.5 years, taking young men from all across this parish and showing them that we live in a great place and great things are possible. But you've got to put a great effort into it. But if you do, great things will happen. And so we've traveled with those young men all across the state, even over into Texas, showing them exactly what is possible in this nation. And it is on the back of those 12 years of experience, rearing, raising, inspiring, and gathering young people that I said, you know, as I looked at those young people that we continue to send out, whether it was at the college, whether it was with Upward Bound, or whether it is now with the Impact Agency, and you say, go and be the change that you want to see in the world. But then when you look out the window, you realize that you're sending them into a building that's at least smoking if it's not on fire. And so you say, maybe I should get out in front of them a little bit and try to smooth the path a little bit, straighten out the crooked places, lower the mountains, exalt the valleys, that they'll have a little bit plainer path into their pursuits and their dreams and their desires. And so that's why I'm running for Congress, because I believe that the good stuff starts at the top. And so goes the head, so goes the body. There's a tone and a tenor across this nation that just absolutely has to be changed. And to do that, you're going to need a new set of talents, a new set of skills, someone that is willing to be a diplomat, a negotiator, someone that is an ambassador and true representative of the people that they've been sent to represent. And I believe I have the skills and the ability to tact, the talent and the tenor to be able to be successful in that job. There's a few things very quickly that I believe are very important, and I call them the people's priorities. I made them the planks of my platform. Number one is education. We talked about being at the top of a good list. There's a whole lot of good lists we're at the bottom of and a whole lot of bad lists we're at the top of. Some of those things are a part of my planks tonight. Education is a very, very important part. I think we've got to do some great work there, and I definitely look forward to making sure that we're passing legislation in Washington that makes that easier, makes resources more available for us to be able to do that. But not only that, when we talk about education, then we've got to talk about health care. I know that there's a lot of human services that are involved with the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury, and that's essential work. I know that we love to get down to the boots on the ground and the construction projects and the bridges and the roads and the drainage, but the bridges, the roads, and the drainage are for people. And if the people are not well, then the bridges and the roads, and as they are now, they go empty. And so we want to make sure that they are healthy. We want to pass legislation that makes that possible. And then, of course, criminal justice. Justice is key. Right there in the preamble of our Constitution, it says we've got to establish justice. That's one of the second priorities that has to be there, because that helps us maintain tranquility, which is one of the essential pillars of our civilization. But lastly, there's economics. And we all know that we've been booming. But we know that it's going to take a great job of innovation and being creative to make sure that we are not just the industrial center of the past, but make sure that we are the energy center of the future. And that is what we have to make sure that we are a part of. Things are changing. Things are shifting, and I want to make sure that in D.C. we have an ambassador, we have a diplomat, we have a negotiator, we have someone that can articulate our goals, our dreams, and our values to make sure that not only are we a part of the past and we can say we were, but we can continue for the next 20, 30, 40 years, 100 years to say we are the leading place, not only in industry, but in our cooperation together in education, healthcare, and all of those things. So again, I definitely appreciate this time, Mr. President, to come before you today. I do want you to know that it takes someone that can be a diplomat in Washington, someone that can empathize with others, someone that understands that unity is something that you forge out of chosen and agreed upon priorities. But as you agree upon those priorities, you are willing to make mutual sacrifice to see those things become our reality. So again, Mr. President, I say thank you, and I'll take any questions at this time.
Any questions or anything from Mr. Harris? Thank you, Mr. Harris.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Item 6, take appropriate action on applications for liquor and beer permits.
Mr. President, there are no liquor or beer permit submittals tonight. No action needed.
Okay, no action needed. Item 7, consideration of approving the minutes for the regular meeting of the police jury dated July 23rd, 2020. I have a motion by Mr. Abshar and a second by Mr. Barris. Is there any discussion? Any objection? That motion carried.
Move on item 8.
Item 8, consideration of approving payment of all current invoices and advised regular monthly budget to actual comparisons. I have a motion by Mr. Andrepont and a second by Mr. Burley. Is there any discussion? Any objection? That motion have carried. Item 9.
Move on 9.
Consideration of adopting an ordinance approving the following rezoning application. 8148 Highway 101 in Ward 2, rezone from agriculture A1 to general commercial C2 to allow commercial development, auto and farm equipment service. I have a motion to approve with conditions from Mr. Stelly and a second by Mr. Marcantel. Is there any discussion? Any objection? That motion carried. Item 10.
Move on 10.
Consideration of approving an ordinance approving the following rezoning application. 8138 Highway 101 in Ward 2, rezone from agriculture A1 to general commercial C2 to allow commercial development, auto and farm equipment service. I have a motion to approve with conditions from Mr. Stelly and a second by Mr. Marcantel. Is there any discussion? Any objection? That motion carried. Item 11,
Move on 11.
consideration of adopting of a resolution approving submittal of a grant application to the United States Department of the Treasury for grant funds authorized under the Resources and the Ecosystems and the Sustainability Tourist Opportunities and Revised Economics Act for Coastal Restoration. I have a motion by Mr. Abshar and a second by Mr. Stelly. Is there any, I'm sorry,
That matter was deferred. Was that the Manchester Road? I'm sorry.
no.
I'm sorry.
No. Okay, we're good. Any discussion?
Here at all, okay.
Any objection? That motion have carried. Item 12, consideration of adopting an ordinance approving the purchase of property located at 1521 Ruby Lane, Sulphur, Louisiana, through funding received from the FEMA Flood Mitigation Assistance Program. I have a motion by Mr. Tremonti, I'm sorry, and a second by Mr. Anderson. Is there any discussion? Mr. Landry?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a question. Has the 100% money run out? I noticed this one's 90%, so I'm assuming that money, that ship has sailed. We must be out of it. No good.
Jennifer Cobian, Assistant Director of Planning. No, sir. FEMA determines whether or not a property is paid at 100% or 90%. So this particular property is a repetitive loss property. They classified it as a 90% buyout.
So so how do you get the 100? I mean,
If you're a
if
severe
it would have been
repetitive
less occurrences,
Correct. More occurrences, you qualify for the 100%.
so more occurrences,
Yes.
okay.
Less occurrences, there's 90, there's also a 75%.
I think I would just take the 90 and run because it's probably going to happen again. I think, yeah, they'll be much better off.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Isn't it three times for the, I'm sorry, isn't it 3 times for the 100%?
In this case, it has to do with the amount of claims compared to the value of the home. So less than 50% of the value, you're a 90%, you're a repetitive loss. If it's over 50%, you're a severe repetitive loss.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Any objection? That motion have carried. Item 13, consideration of authorizing the Director of the Division of Planning and Development to notify the following property owners to show cause for a public hearing on October the 1st, 2020, or the first regular police jury meeting thereafter. One at a time, Sam? All together? Okay. 13A, 233 Calcasieu Avenue, Moss Bluff, Ward 1. 13B, 2653 Old DeRidder Highway, Lot 3.5, Lake Charles, Ward 3. Item C, 2971 Highway 3059, lots 32, 34, 36, 37, and 40, Lake Charles, Ward 3. Item D, 7998 Lake Street, Lake Charles, Ward 3. Item E, 512 Murray Street, Lake Charles, Ward 3. Item F, 590 Redder Road, Collis, Ward 4. And item G, 2341 Coons Road, Sulphur,
Move
Ward
on all
4.
bullets.
I have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Richard on all bullets. Is there any discussion? Any objection? That motion have carried. Item 14, consideration of adopting a resolution approving the 2021 Road and Drainage Trust Fund Program as recommended by
Second.
staff. I have a motion by Mr. Barris and a second by Mr. Burley. I'm sorry, Mr. Burley made the motion and Mr. Barris made the second. Mr. Albert, Mr. Galen, go on.
Alberto Galan, Office of the Administrator. Really, Tim, Alan, and Tammy put together this whole thing. I just drew the short straw to come to the mic. But I want to give a quick background and then jump to a couple of the high points for the program. It dates back to 1994 when a 4 mil property tax was approved parish-wide for roads, bridges, and drainage, with a caveat that $1 million of revenues collected from that tax be allocated for the Road and Drainage Trust Fund to fund capital improvement projects for road and drainage by municipalities or drainage districts. The police jury at the time set eligibility and criteria on how this trust fund would be spent. Staff reviews it, a committee reviews it as well, and ultimately comes before the jury for approval of those grant funds. The current process has some competitive criteria and a scoring system. So in any given year, it could be 2, could be 3, could be 4, but not all entities receive funds in the past 10 years that I looked at. Fast forward to today, we're going through a pandemic. Everybody's stretched thin, especially those that operate heavily on sales taxes. So what we are proposing is a revised non-competitive trust fund process that still has to meet good criteria, that still has to be reviewed by engineering, the same committee, and the police jury. But it is a set yearly allocation and revenue sharing by all 6 municipalities. That way everybody knows exactly what they're allocated when applying for the funds, and they can essentially budget for it. We would also propose that any surplus by any entity for any given year be rolled over into an account set aside for that same entity in the event that that entity doesn't have a project for that year, or they can put it together for a larger project in years to come. We would allow that as well. We're proposing that for this year, but if the jury likes it, we would propose that it continue in this way. You'll notice I mentioned the $1 million allocation among the 6 municipalities, but not the drainage districts. The reason for that is that we would also propose that $500,000 be allocated from a separate sales tax fund for $250,000 for each consolidated gravity drainage district, so that they are not left out. But they would still follow the same application process that the municipalities would, and we would still lie within what was approved by the voters in the tax call, which is a $1 million cap. And again, they would follow the same process and review process that the municipalities would. And that's an overview, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Is there any? Yes, Mr. Stelly.
So no major plans for the municipalities. I mean, with major plans from the municipalities, if the drainage districts don't apply for the $250,000, is that eligible to go to the municipalities?
No, that is separate from, in a sales tax fund, and we would actually propose, I believe, that it would roll over as well, just like, so that if they don't use it, they can start accumulating it or wait for another project that fits the criteria.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stelly. Any other discussion? Any objection? That motion carried. Item 15, consideration of adopting a resolution approving a utility and drainage servitude agreement along with the temporary construction servitude for the Highway 397 and James Sutter Road Waterline Loop and Replacement Project. I have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Tremonti. Is there any discussion? Yes, Mr. Stelly.
Can someone just kind of tell me what's going on there?
Mr. Rainwhite can come up and answer that, Tony.
Yes, sir, Mr. Stelly. This is just a part of our one project inside of our master plan for the Mallard Junction Water District. This particular project is a stretch on 397 where the old line, the original line, was 8 inches, and we're going to be upgrading it to 12 inches. So it's a phased project of the master plan, and it's just an upgrade. It'll help us, push that water further out into the district.
That's what I was going to ask you next.
And this is just right away for that.
So
right
that
there
is for expansion into other areas.
Well,
when I say other areas, further into that.
Help us serve the district in the areas we're serving today. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stelly. Any other discussion? Any objection? That motion carried. Item 16, consideration of adopting a resolution approving a grant agreement for the Workforce Innovations and Opportunity Act Title I funding allocation to serve individuals affected by the COVID-19. I have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Richard. Is there any discussion? Any objection? That motion have carried. Item 17, Take appropriate action on proposals received by the purchasing agent on August 11, 2020 for the watershed coordination services. After review of the responsive proposals, the staff recommends that the proposal of Quality Engineering and Surveying LLC be accepted. I have a motion by Mr. Barris and a second by Mr. Andrew. Is there any discussion? Any objection? That motion carries. Item 18, consideration of adopting a resolution accepting miscellaneous improvements at 3001 Industrial Avenue project as substantially complete. I have a motion by Mr. Abshar and a second by Mr. Hayes. Is there any discussion? Any objection? That motion carries.
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. We are now adjourned.